Well, welcome everyone. I apologize. I am not the technical guy. So I'm not 100% sure how to get all this stuff to work. I can't find the music, so anything like that. So I apologize. Sean is the man, the myth, the legend behind the screen. He does more than people realize and probably doesn't get enough credit for it. So hat tip to Sean. He got all this set up so I could even do this, and somehow I've screwed some things up. So my apologies. Sean is feeling under the weather. So you are with me here for Fantasy Guru Thunder Hour as we head to the All-Star race at Dover. Quick shout out to the folks at fantasyguru.com. If you don't subscribe already, please do us a favor. Head over to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe button, check out all the different packages. I would throw up the lowers with all the info if I knew what I was doing, but I don't. So I'll do my best to give you a roundup. If you like the content Sean and I provide, you can get that as part of the MVP package, which handles everything outside of football and basketball. So MMA, esports, tennis, basketball, basketball, racing, hockey, the whole deal. You get fancy stuff, you get Jorge stuff, any of that. It's all there included under one price for the an annual price for 12 months. That does run 12 months. So even though basketball, hockey's finishing up, you'll get all the coverage for next season. So we're a little partial to that because, we're biased. That said, I'm also partial to the football and baseball content, which you can get separately. Baseball just started up. Ray, the Oracle, is hammering out, dealing with all the pitcher injuries. I've learned more from baseball from Ray than anyone else in my life, and that's just been over the few short years I've been at Fantasy Guru. So hat tip to the whole team over there. Patio Joe breaking down some of the umpires. You got to love Scott Bonder's Dong reports. That's always a good time to check out. And, of course, football. Football's around the corner. So, if you see a promo out there for football, take advantage of it because football will be here before you know it. So thank you to the Elite Plus Network, Jeff Manns and his whole team. I got to give Jeff a major hat tip for the staff he's put together. We've got nothing but class A people, and they're class A humans. Not to mention they're fantastic at what they do here for Fantasy Guru. So shout out to all them. I am solo, so please hit us up in the comments section because we're going to go over stuff. And since it is only me and I get to be as long-winded as I want, we'll probably have a little bit of a shorter show today, but we'll see how that goes. Let's dive into last week at the Glen. I don't know how much of the races you saw this weekend. The truck race was a fantastic show. Shout out to Caden Honeycutt getting his first win on a road course. I don't think we expected that. I didn't. Connor Zilich, I did mention on the show last week. Connor Zilich would be the guy I'd prefer. I thought the Spire trucks were a little better than Nice, which is what SVG in. It showed up that way. Connor showed he had what it took. Mad props to Gino Ruggiero. He got jobbed in that. NASCAR even apologized for the bad call on the restart. But Gio, keep your eye on that young man. We've talked about him before. He's shown speed. He's with one of the best teams, if not the best team in the series with Tricon. He's got some youth to him. This isn't the first time he's ran well at Watkins Glen. It was no fluke. This young man can wheel a car. He's flying a little under the radar to some of the studs we got, but keep Ruggiero in your mind. Brent Cruz did what we thought. He was probably going to have the race won. I thought he did have it won. Again, kind of a restart call. The end of that race just got a little weird, but that was fun. Saturday's O'Reilly show. Again, we kind of said both cars, with them being JRM, it was going to be SVG and Zilich. Zilich was the better guy pretty much all day. I said I kind of liked him better because of the car he was in. That number 9 car just tends to be off a little bit compared to the 1, vice versa. Great show by Connor. And really, he was – Jesse Love about got one. And I don't know if you saw the end of that race, but with 6 laps to go, Connor was catching him. He got a little aggressive and lost the time, then got it back and made the pass. So far through 2 races, we had heck of a end of a race finish. And then the Cup Series. SVG just dominated. I mean, took them to the woodshed and beat them up. It got interesting because of the way the pit stops worked out, which is always fun at the road courses. Look, with 20-some laps to go, he was pitting, was 20-some seconds back. With 14 laps to go, he was 14.7 seconds back. With 5 laps to go, he had a lead. And then he ended up winning by 7 seconds. Everybody was saving fuel, and he said, nope, we're going to go for it. And hat tip. that was fun to watch. That was fun to break it down. So, excuse me. That was a good show. As far as the bets go, Steve, thank you. I am upset I didn't push Kyle harder on Sunday. One thing I want to mention, and Sean and I were talking about this off air. Even on Sunday, I highly recommend you go check out my overview week. My wife has told me this. Sean and I have had this conversation. A buddy of mine and I have had this conversation. For whatever reason, I tend to be sharper earlier in the week. I don't know. I mean, I joke, breaking my arm, pat myself on the back that I'm ahead of the books. The lines I say are going to move typically do move. So I think I just need to lean into that. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to start doubling down on some of those bets, especially the ones I like. Even if that means we got to drink the juice, so be it. Kyle's odds did drop. That is one bet that I really, really mad I didn't push harder. I know we talked about it on the show, and I find it funny because that was probably the best bet of the week. And that was the one that we discussed was kind of a little more of a unsure thing. The stuff we thought was slam dunk, not so much. Ty Gibbs that was one I also pushed earlier in the week at plus 120. His odds dropped to minus 105, I believe, on top 10. Let me just double check that. I'm almost positive I had him as a top 10 and not a top 5, but let me look. Yep, top 10 at plus 120 earlier in the week. Tyler Reddick, top 5 earlier in the week. I had it plus 100. That also hit. The Hocevar bet didn't hit. Hamlin didn't hit. Larson didn't hit. Busher didn't hit. Brad didn't hit. Ross didn't hit. So overall, it wasn't great, but some of those bets were the same ones on Sunday, and they didn't hit. So I also will apologize. This was not one of my better weeks. I did get you the Connor Zilic win on Saturday. I did push that at 140, but my job, my goal, make this fun and help you guys win money. If you learned some NASCAR stuff along the way, great, but that's the goal. And I have been trying to focus on fewer bets, hitting more, maybe drinking the juice more, taking some of the odds. As we've talked about, a minus 120 bet for football is not a bad bet. In NASCAR, we start to like, really? You know, we all want those 3-1, 2-1 bets. And football, we don't get it. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind. But just a piece of advice. Trust a bit what I say on this show with Sean, especially when we get to hash it out. There's something about talking through things that kind of helps you really hone in on what you want to see or where you're at. I do that with friends sometimes, even just to talk DFS stuff and betting. So this show is helpful, even if you just want to put us on audio while you're mowing the lawn or something. I think if you want to win money, this is the place to be. Oh, nice, Steve. That is what I like to see. If I know how, let me see if I can throw this up here. Let's see if I can show how to do this. There we go. 2 out of 3 bets I made at the casino hit. He had both Zilic and SVG to win on Saturday. So awesome. You got the Kyle Busch bet. You got the Connor Zilic bet. Great. That is what we want to see. I'm happy to see that. So overall, look, I like Watkins Glen as a road course. I'm not a big road course guy, but Watkins Glen's a fun track. And honestly, if you're into video gaming, iRacing, that sort of stuff, that is one of the more fun road courses to play and learn. It's I won't want to say it's an easy track. It's not as technical. There's a little more wiggle room to mess up. Big braking spots, so passing zones are fun. It's a fun track. That track is a phenomenal track for NASCAR and stock cars in general for road racing events. So I want to give, NASCAR and Watkins Glen a prop, the hat tip. This time of year is not a great time of year, and the Sheldon Creed bet, I'm salty about that one. I really like the plus 500 odds to get top 5. He was running 10, 11, 12, 13 most of the race, and it started in the back. So he was potentially going to get there. He got shoved off the track in the bus stop, and because of it being so wet, if you guys haven't seen video, I recommend checking it out. He hit, the splitter caught, launched him. I kid you not. The car was like this in the grass where the back end caught the grass, ripped off the whole back end of the bumper, the back side of the car, the whole deal. Meanwhile, the front where it dug in, ripped off the whole front clip, the splitter, the whole deal. Just absolutely destroyed his day. That was really, really unfortunate. And I apologize. I don't have, let me see if I can give a shout out to the stuff Sean did call out on this show. last week, though. I want to make sure I give him some props because there was a couple of things he pushed that let's see. Like I said, I apologize, folks, because I am not the most tech savvy, nor am I the most organized with the way Sean does these things. Sean is really on top of it. So Sean also pushed Tyler Reddick top 5. That hit. Bell top 5 did not. Buescher top 5 did not. Briscoe top 10 did not. Dinger top 10 came real close, but I don't believe Dinger finished in 10th, if 8th or 10th. He may have, so that was a good call. Blaney did not. Chastain did not. Suarez did not. Let's see. I don't think he finished. Zane Smith. That was a heck of a call. Zane Smith ended up finishing, I believe, either right outside the top 10 or in the top 10. Let me pull that up. I should have had that up ahead of time. My apologies, folks. And, of course, NASCAR doesn't really make it easy to find these things all the time. I really wish they would find a what's the word I'm looking for? Someone to kind of, I guess the races or the website's gotten better. Okay, so no, his Chase Briscoe bet did hit. Chase Briscoe was 4th, so Chase Briscoe's bet did hit. AJ Allmendinger was 7th. That did hit. So Sean had some great, again, Sean was disappointed on Sunday's bets, but he was really sharp on the show here. Austin Cindric finished 9th. Sean talked him up. I don't know if he put him up for a bet. Let me check. He did not, but I know we talked up Cindric. So look, Sean was sharp, guys. Top 10 Briscoe plus 110 hit. AJ Allmendinger top 10 plus 110 hit. So way to go, Sean, early in the week. That was phenomenal. John Hunter Nemechek finished 10th. Shout out to him. Blaney just short in 11th. Buescher just short in 12th. Daniel Suarez 13th. Zane Smith 18th. Overall, I think the bets on the show is kind of where we need to be, guys. That's what I would suggest. So that kind of covers those bets. I know I want to be better. We all want to be better. We all want to be perfect, but I was very disappointed, in particular with the Cup stuff. And the wife and I were talking about it. Jen was very adamant about how, boy, I'm really struggling here, folks. How I need to trust the earlier in the week stuff. And the fact of the matter is, I am really kind of on point with the Truck Series right now. It's one of my favorite series to watch. I really love watching the young guys come up. So maybe it's a good idea to focus on the truck bets. Now, this week in particular, Sean and I kind of differ a little bit. Finsty and I talked about it on his show this afternoon. You know, Finsty talks about how he loves the 4 to 6 game slates on the NBA DFS slate. The 2 game slates, not so much. Jeff Mance has talked about he's not a fan of the showdown slates, right? Just one game. He wants the variance. He wants the opportunity to get different, to get to the top. I feel the same way in NASCAR. For this all-star race from a DFS perspective, we are headed to Dover. Little background on Dover. It's Bristol on steroids. It's a high-banked concrete oval. It's 1 mile in length. Bristol's a half mile, but both of them are very, very steep for what they are. The drivers talk about it being like a roller coaster, that you actually feel the car like land at the bottom of the turn. I forgot how many feet they drop in the turn, but it's significant. This track is a self-cleaning track. Guys can get collected that had nothing to do with anything. Someone will lose it. They slide up the track collecting everybody, and they slide right back down the track collecting everybody. So there is a little bit of randomness and luck to it. This happens to be one of my favorite tracks, or used to be. This new car has kind of killed all my favorite tracks. We've talked about it before ad nauseum. I'm not going to beat that dead horse, but I'm excited to watch the trucks in the O'Reilly series this week in particular. Those 2 races will be just like we do every other week. They're full points races. We'll have qualifying. We'll have the full field. We'll have all of that. So I'm looking forward to playing a little more DFS on the O'Reilly and the Craftsman Truck Series side of things than I am on the Cup side of things. I don't want to say it won't be fun. I don't want to say we shouldn't do it, but here's what's going to happen. Let me lay out how the All-Star race is going to work, because this year's a little bit different. Historically at Dover, you would do 400 laps, 400 miles, 1 mile track. They're going to do 350 total. However, they're going to be broke up into 3 different segments. Segment 1 and segment 2 all the drivers will participate. That's different from years past. In years past, the guys in the all-star race, those that already qualified for being an all-star, were in the all-star event, and they ran what they called the open or the showdown. It's usually the open, but they've had different names for it. But the bottom line is they used to basically have a race for those not in the all-star race to try to get in. They've taken the top finisher, the top 2 finishers, the top 3 finishers. They've changed it. They do a fan-in vote. This year, what they're doing is all the drivers are going to be in the field for the first segment. The front 26, so there'll be 38 cars out there. The first 26 will then get inverted for segment 2, and they'll all race again. Segment 1, 75 laps. Segment 2, 75 laps. So the final segment is going to be decent. It's going to be 200 laps. I can applaud that. I know they like the sprints and all that for the all-star races, but as Steve said here, this track is better for long runs. This is where it gets interesting when tire wear comes into play, fuel mileage comes into play, all these things. I'm at 100% with Steve on this. So I like the fact that the last stage or segment, whatever you want to call it, will be 200 laps. We're going to get to see some decent racing. It's going to be 26 cars out there. So they will take the top finisher between the 2 races. So they'll put together the finishes of the first segment, second segment, average them out, and that's going to be your top drivers, okay? That's who's going to get in. That's going to be the determining factor into the all-star event. Now, qualifying for the all-star event, so the cars that are already in that event, the way they're going to qualify, so them running the first 2 segments doesn't really matter, other than they're going to get to work on their car and fix it. They're going to get to make some swings and try to improve the car. But they're going to qualify, and I happen to love this qualifying format. I almost wish we did it everywhere because I think pit stops matter. You'll do 1 lap. You'll come back around, go into the pits, do a full pit stop, 4 tires, leave pit road, and do a lap. That is the qualifying time. Your total time for the pit stop, the laps, and all that, that's what's going to be determined, the qualifying or the grid order for the all-star segment. That's what I'll call it, for lack of a better term, the last 200 laps. So where they finish in the first 2 segments, as far as I know from reading everything, which I've read 3 or 4 different articles trying to make sure I understood the format this year, I don't think that it's going to play into it. So where does that do from us from a DFS and betting standpoint? From a DFS perspective, we're going to have a very limited group of drivers to pick from, 26. So you're going to be nerfed on place differential, and you're going to be nerfed on dominator points. We have to chase finishing position while also keeping in mind we're going to want the handful of bonus points we're going to get for anybody that comes from 22nd, 23rd, whatever, up into the top 15, top 10, top 5. This track is, if guys figure it out, if they struggle early on, say segment 1, the track's going to go through changes because of how long it's going to take them to go through this whole race, because there's going to be a pause between the segments and all this stuff, especially between the second segment, the last segment, and all that nonsense. So sunshine, shade, temperature change, all that's going to come in. Concrete's very sensitive. It's the other reason I kind of like concrete tracks. I know Junior doesn't because of the cuts. They get rougher with the concrete, get bumpier. Again, I think it's harder to handle the car. From a fan perspective, I love it. From a driver perspective, it's probably terrible. I'm not going to lie. It's not like these things have great shock. So beating up your back going over bumps doesn't sound enjoyable to me. But I'm also not getting paid big money to drive with my hair on fire, and I would gladly do it. The point being is we're going to be nerfed. We're going to want the finishing positions. But it's going to be hard to get contrarian. It's going to be super, super hard to get contrarian. My experience with DFS on the all-star events, I would say it's easier to cash a little bit, but it's nearly impossible to make much cash because everything is split. So much is overlapped, same lineups. I mean, there's only so many variations you can make for 1,500 lineups, 2,500 lineups out of 26 drivers. That's not the case on the truck and O'Reilly side of things. That is much more what we typically do. From a betting perspective, I was very disappointed today. I went and pulled the odds. They're terrible. They're only offering winner and top 3s. I don't want to chase those. Part of what I love earlier in the week, and Steve called it out with the top 10 Kyle Busch bet, getting 2.5 times your money for finishing in the top 25% is pretty solid. And that's the way I look at it. And my wife has really, really honed me in on the top 5, top 10s. And her point is, if you like these guys to win, they should be kind of a shoe-in for a top 5 or a top 10. I wouldn't say shoe-in, but she's right in that there's a lot more wiggle room. I mean, talk about range of outcomes like we do in football. Tyler Reddick's a great example. I thought he might be a bigger contender at the Glen this past weekend. He wasn't, but he was a top 5 guy all day. He was a top 5 finisher. 1-to-1, not a huge bet, but it's plus money. You're doubling up your money. You're getting your bet back plus your bet again. So if you bet $1, you got $3 out of the deal, right? Because you got your buck back. No, I guess you got $2 out of it, but you doubled up. That's more where I'd like to play. I think it gives us a little more wiggle room, and I'm going to try to start drinking the juice more. I know I've said that in the article and on here, but I think that matters. So overall, that's where I'm at. I'm going to scale back on the Cup side for DFS. I'm probably going to still be going like I normally do on O'Reilly and trucks, particularly trucks, because I just feel like I have a decent handle on that. There is going to be some interesting seat time this weekend, so we'll have to keep that in mind. From a betting standpoint, I'm not changing what I'm doing on my trucks and O'Reilly. I'm going with the same approach I've had the last month or so. I think that's working. On the Cup side of things, I want to see what these odds turn into. The fear I have, I don't know how much time we're going to get between segment 2 and segment 3 for the All-Star race, which means will we get any new lines? Once they qualify, I believe qualifying Saturday, I'll double check. Once they qualify, I'm not sure we're going to get any different odds. So once again, this is a little bit different. I'd much rather be kind of doing what we normally do with the trucks and the O'Reilly guys than forcing stuff on the Cup side. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to chase top 3 bets. If I really like somebody after qualifying, it makes sense, fine. But I don't even like doing top 5. Top 10, top 5, I will do. Top 10's the jam. We'll throw dart throws. I shouldn't say dart throws. We'll make our calls with the winners. But there's a big difference when making a couple of bets at 12 to 14 to 1 and making a couple of bets at 3 to 4 to 1 or 2 to 1. It's not the way I look at odds. It's a measurement of risk for me. I know at 12 to 1, there's a lot of risk. That's baked in. When you're a bet to win like SVG this last week at -105, like I don't know if you could have caught a live line when he pitted with 20 laps to go, 30 laps to go. That would have been the time to bet him. Because if they were being honest on the line, nobody really knew, could SVG really catch him? SVG's odds, the moment he pitted, should have probably changed to +150, +200, something like that. I don't know if it did because I couldn't pull him up. We're offshore here, and I was having a hard time finding any live lines. That would be something I really would have liked to have seen. That's where I say, don't chase these guys with these low odds. Let's wait for a bad pit stop from Ryan Blaney. Let's wait to see if Kyle Larson does something silly, gets in trouble, and they got to battle their way back. I'd much rather chase. If we're going to consider betting something at -105 for a win, +125 for a win, there's got to be something significant. When I said Kyle Larson at +140, I was convinced that 88 was going to be the car to beat, and it was. When I pushed Connor Zilic at the +140, I thought he'd be the car to beat. That's fine, but we're still plus money, still 1.5. That, in NFL terms, that's not a guaranteed bet. So I look at it from a risk standpoint. A bad pit stop, a cut tire, things outside the team, the driver's control, you go from a top 3 finisher to 30th. That's legitimate. That's the other reason I'm okay with the top 10s. Build that cushion in. If SVG didn't catch everybody like he did, top 3, top 5, top 10 was all in play. So that's the angle there. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to cover which drivers we're going to have in all the events this weekend, because it is going to be an interesting entry list, in my opinion. Not all the names will be household names, if you will. But I do love my truck guys. All right. Perfect example. Brandon Jones. We will be back in the #1 Tricon garage truck. It's a big deal. We talked about Brandon Jones a couple weeks ago. He had a heck of a run in this truck before. Keep him in mind. Luke Baldwin will be back with Team Rome. I like Luke Baldwin a lot. Not a huge fan of Team Rome. He's in the #2. William Sawalwich will be driving the #5 for Tricon. Again, top-notch equipment. We've seen William Sawalwich really run well in the truck series. That's going to be interesting. Kyle Busch is taking over the #7 Spire truck with Brian Patty as the crew chief. Watch that truck again. You know how we feel about Kyle in the 7. It's worth watching. Don't sleep on Caden Honeycutt. After that win, he's going to have a little pep in his step. Let's see what else we got for Ross Chastain will be back with Nice, #45. Christopher Bell will be back with Homler Friesen Racing in the 62. Carson Hocevar will also be doing double duty. He'll be in the #77 for Spire. These are all guys we should watch. These guys are going to be priced up. We know that. But from a betting standpoint, they need to be on our radar. And I'll have some bets for you in tomorrow article that probably won't come out till Friday morning, but I'll be working on that tomorrow. There's a driver that's trying to make the field again. Destiny Spurlock. She's a hard fade for me, guys. It's more hype than anything else, and I'm kind of tired of the hype on some of these names and drivers. But for fear of getting somebody in big trouble, I won't say what I really want to say. Parker Eatman, he's also going to be driving for Nice in the #42. That's someone to kind of watch. Clint Boyer. We get to see Clint Boyer in a Kaulig 25 truck. That's going to be interesting. Instead of Jed Burton in the #27, we're going to have Tony Bredinger. Hard fade. Jed Burton's going to make that truck look a lot better than what she will. That's just the fact of the beast. And this isn't a sexist thing. There are some women coming up in ARCA that deserve some real love and attention, and they're not getting it. And it's a bit frustrating, if I'm going to be completely frank. What else is jumping out? I think that's all the big call outs on some of the. Cole Butcher will be back in the #13 for Thor Sport. Caleb Costner for Costner Motorsports. Not something I'm chasing there. Bell will be interesting because this is a track that dirt racers tend to take to a little bit. Obviously, we're going to want to watch Hocevar. We're going to want to watch Gio, who's probably going to be super motivated. Kyle Busch, William Sawalwich, Brandon Jones. Honestly, I think right now, if you want to pin me against the wall, Brandon Jones is a bet I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be checking odds on him. He's someone I definitely am going to probably want to use. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Steve, you're not wrong. And this has been the problem. And look, and the argument has been Cletus McFarland, what's the difference? He did it with hype and money. And that's fair. But Cletus actually has more ARCA experience than Destiny. And some clown tried to talk about her NHRA experience. Cletus does drag racing. He's got a crazy drag card that Junior couldn't handle. He does crazy parking challenges in his shop there. Like, it's not like the guy doesn't do things in a car and show that he's a wheelman of sorts. This is all hype. It's like everything else. We got to make something be something it's not. And I'll get into that with some of the news and notes. I should have done some of the news and notes earlier, but we'll finish the entry list first, and then I'll cover some news and notes. So that's where we're at on the truck series. For the O'Reilly series, and I got to tell you guys, I miss my buddy Sean. Mark is great too, but I miss my buddy Sean. That's just a fact. There's a lot of stuff he does way better than me. Not to mention, he really does an incredible job with the notes and covering everything. And it's just something I'm not well versed in. I need to get better at. So shout out to Sean. Let's see. For the O'Reilly series, Ross Chastain will be in that #9 for JR Motorsports. So you're going to want to watch that. He's doing triple duty. He's going to be a tough guy to beat this weekend. Maybe not so much at the Cup level, but watch out. And at least in the O'Reilly series for me, I would say he's going to be one of my favorites. BJ McLeod's going to race this week in the #92. Roger Carruth is back in the 88. That's worth noting. Let's see. We still have 2 be announced spots, number 35 and 38. Andrew Patterson will be in the number 32. CJ McLaughlin will be in the number 42. David Starr is back in the number 53. Blake Loughlin will be in the number 55. Myatt Snyder also is back in a seat in the number 91. So that is all of the kind of interesting names for the O'Reilly series. Like I said, the biggest one for me is Ross Chastain. Like you just can't sleep on Ross Chastain. I guess I should have mentioned Natalie Decker will be in the truck this week, but whatever. As Steve said, hot women getting rides. All right, Steve. So what's your philosophy? JRM is what to bet if the... Oh, okay. So you're saying bet JRM to win? Steve, I like that bet. I think that's an excellent bet. You're going to get Ross Chastain in there. You're going to get Guapel back in the 1. You're going to get Raja in the 88. And you're going to get Justin Allgaier, who runs well everywhere. I don't know what Tricon's going to be at because, like I said, or not Tricon, Joe Gibbs Racing. Because it's hard to sleep on Brent Cruz, Brandon Jones, like those guys. It's tough to completely fade them. But I'm digging this bet. I might put that in the article too, Steve, with a little hat tip to you. Let me say, I think I like that bet. I really do. All right, for the Cup guys, obviously we don't have anything crazy for the Cup guys. I mean, I think there's a couple of dudes that are trying the open segments, but overall, there's nothing that really jumps out at me here. So, yeah, I mean, it's all the same guys we see every week. Nothing new, nothing to see. Yeah, I don't see any odd names from the Cup standpoint, which doesn't really shock me because it is the All-Star race, and let's be honest, you're supposed to be an All-Star, which I guess is kind of a misnomer at times. Mike Joy. So let's get into some news notes. Mike Joy will be the honorary starter for the All-Star race. I know some people don't like him. I'm a big fan. The news on Ricky Stenhouse. We talked about last week that Ricky Stenhouse might be losing his ride. That is not the case. Hayek Motorsports is proud to announce that they re-signed him to a multi-year deal, and they even picked up a new sponsorship for the San Diego race. So that's something to keep in mind. Ricky still has a ride. The Chicago street race is back into play. Don't get me going on this one, folks. I don't understand it. For a sport that complains there's not enough money for the teams, not enough money to share, they openly admit it costs them money to do the Chicago street race. People in Chicago don't care for it much. The race fans, yes. Everyone else thinks it's a nuisance and a pain in the ass, and they really don't care for it. Some of the businesses like it, some don't. Like, I find that interesting. I would think more business is good, but some businesses apparently don't see more business. So I don't get it. That's NASCAR for you. I really don't understand it. There's too many road courses as it is. This car did not race well there. It was not a good race. I don't get it. I just don't, but it is what it is. Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell had a little, I don't know what you want to call it, a little disagreement. Not much was really shared on that. Bubba, from my perspective, continues to whine and gripe when he should shut up and drive. I've said this 100 times. I want Bubba to do well. I want to cheer for Bubba. He makes it hard to be a fan. He really does. I'm a fan of Christopher Bell. I am. I like the way he drives. I like the way he conducts himself. I like, his win in Bristol last year went a long way for me as far as him as a person, what was said, and how NASCAR hacked that interview up. Chances are Christopher Bell knows more what he's talking about than Bubba does, and Bubba's being a whiner. So I just find that interesting. But that was something to make note of. And this is probably the biggest story that just came out. And I'm going to end up looking like a jerk here. Catherine Legge is going to do the Charlotte double, the Indy double. That's her. She's going to try. Okay. Catherine Legge, I get it. She's going to be the first woman. If she does this, she'll be the first woman to ever do it. Kudos to her for being a trailblazer. She won't be competitive at Indy. She won't be. She's not going to be in competitive equipment, and they aren't. She's not at the level of the guys that are up at the front. She's not with Palou, Award, Newgarden. She's not. She is not going to be a factor for the Indy 500. Just won't be. I was excited for Kyle Larson and Kurt Busch in the past because I felt like there was enough skill there that they could be impactful for the Indy 500, which made it interesting. There are only 2 drivers in history that have won the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500. AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti. That's it. And I don't think we'll ever see anyone else win both again. Because of how racing is today, it won't happen. And that's why I've always liked the double and wish more could try it. But because of NASCAR rules, especially with the current playoffs, not really playoff, current chase format, you miss a race, that's 0 points. There's no waiver or anything. You don't get a do-over. You get 0 points. So if Kyle Larson had shown up late to the race like last year, where Justin Allgaier started the race, even if Larson finished the race, he wouldn't have gotten the points for it. You have to be in the car to start the race. Now, he could have started the race, got out of the car at lap 1. Justin Allgaier drove it. He could have gotten the points then. But obviously that doesn't work if the whole part of the mission is getting up from Indianapolis to Charlotte. So Catherine Legg's going to do both. She'll be the first woman to do both. The equipment she's going to be in is with the same equipment. It's I think it's called Live Fast. It's what BJ McLeod runs. She's probably going to be, I mean, let me put it this way. I will bet my nutsack she will not complete 1,100 miles. And that's even if I was told she would finish both races. She will be laps down at Charlotte. She will not finish the Charlotte race on the lead lap. So my beef with this is more dog and pony show than anything else. This is a look at me, I'm going to try to do it so I said I did it type of thing, which I guess the double kind of is always that. But it's way more fun when it's truly 2 talented drivers or a talented driver that can compete for top 5s and wins. So that's the biggest news there. There's going to be a lot of talk about that over the next 2 weeks. Indianapolis qualifying will be going on. Memorial Day is right around the corner. We got this week's the All-Star race. Next week's the Coke 600, formerly what was known as the World 600 in Charlotte. So the Coke 600 is still there in Charlotte, and we got the Indy 500. We will have bets. I'm hoping I'll be on with Finsty on Wednesday. We'll, of course, have the live stream next Wednesday as well. But, yeah, that's where we're at. And, Steve, you're spot on, man. You're spot on. Wouldn't drive those cars. They wouldn't. They were only willing to do the doubles if they were in top equipment. And Tony Stewart is the best that we've seen at it. I was at the Charlotte race when he got tuckered out. He had one of the best cars for that race, and he straight up got tuckered out. He came over the radio and said it. He needed help after the race. He apologized to the team. That's partly why Joe Gibbs, had that strict rule and didn't want guys to do it. Because, see, so do you remember hearing that stuff on air, Steve? Do you remember hearing the radio communication with, I think it was about 15 to 20 laps to go in that event? He was running about 4th at the time, I want to say. Might have been closer to 30 laps to go. Leg is it's much ado about nothing. You won't see me use her anywhere. So anyway, that's the news for the week. So we'll move on from that. Yeah, I had the scanner. All right. So am I telling lies, Steve, or am I preaching the truth, buddy? Tell me. Am I misremembering things, or did I hit that pretty square? So let's talk about some of the bets and things of this week. Truth. See? This 47-year-old still got a memory, man. That was, and Steve can attest, that was a long time ago. We're talking, man, I have to go pull it up, but 20 years? I want to say it was around 06. Man, it may have been even 01. I'd have to go look. That was a long time ago. Yeah, see, Steve, you've been to more cup races than I have. I mean, I've been to probably 30, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, I think it's the early 2000s too, Steve. I haven't been to 94, so mad props to you, buddy. So let's talk about some of the DFS approaches. Like I said, I'm a little kind of hesitant on the Cup side. So I hope you guys don't mind. I want to talk a little bit about trucks. So the truck race is going to run Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, 2001-03. That sounds about right, Steve. So Kyle Busch, he's a little overpriced at 11.7, but Caden Honeycutt's 11.5. So to say Kyle's overpriced, not so much. Not like we saw with SVG. I do think Honeycutt's going to be a factor. So don't be sleeping on Caden Honeycutt. This young man, he's been impressing me more and more. I was impressed with him in the other equipment, and I thought it was bogus the way they cut him when Tricon signed him for up to this, starting this year. But I'm impressed with Caden Honeycutt. Bell's at 11,000. That's going to be interesting. Carson Hocevar at 10.7, and then Lane Riggs at 10.5. So the pricing on your truck regulars that are probably the favorites and should be the favorites would be 11.5 for Honeycutt, and Riggs is at 10.5. Ross Chastain's down at 10,000. So what would we do? Dominators will matter. There's enough laps that we're going to want to have some dominators. I don't think I'll put Bell in the dominator category. It took him a while to get that 62 to come around. They did get to come around. He did run well at the end of the race. But if I was going to pick dominators as we sit today, Busch, Honeycutt, Riggs, maybe Hocevar. Bell would be kind of second. I think Majeski and Ruggiero are going to be interesting. I do like Brandon Jones. He is a value. 8,500, he's underpriced. This guy should be priced up at least with the Gio Ruggieros, the Ty Majeski, the Chandler Smiths in that 9,000 to 9,500 range. So we're not talking massive value of 500 to $1,000, but he's underpriced. And I'm probably going to, just like I did a couple weeks ago, and I know he bit us with that bad pit stop, but had they not had that bad pit stop and finished 14th, Brandon Jones was going to be the main driver in the winning lineup because he led the most laps and was going to probably finish top 3, if not win that event. Clint Boyer at 8,000. If you want to get novelty like in your DFS, fine. If he qualifies back in 30th, I'll take a shot because he's in equipment that can finish top 15-ish. You've heard and Justin Haley. But shout out to Queen. He's not really hitting people's radars, but if you go back and look over the last month or so, he's starting to consistently push a little bit. He ran a lot better at Watkins Glen than I think people are going to give him credit for. So we're going to want to keep an eye on him because his pricing, he is a decent value. He is priced down at 6,000. I know he's tough to gamble on because he usually qualifies too well, but at 6,000, he's a savvy little play this week, folks. I really believe that. I mean, just to give you an idea, one of my favorite punt options is Spencer Boyd. He's 5,200. Give me 6,000 on Queen all day long, folks, all day long. In fact, that's probably Luke Baldwin at 5,500. If it's better equipment, I'd be in. I don't like the equipment, so I'm probably out. Chris Wright, probably out. Dawson Sutton, that one's interesting. He's at 5,700. That one's interesting. But here again, you can get Queen at 6,000. I mean, he is really not priced well. I'm going to have a hard time not putting Queen and Jones in lineups, guys. They're cheap. I'll be honest. I don't even know if I care where they qualify. So let's take a look. Let's see if Vegas has got some bets for us because they get a little stingy on the truck bets. It gets a little frustrating. But let's see if they've got anything for us. Let's see here. Trucks. Nope, that's not trucks. This is trucks. Here we go. All right, so for trucks, we have winner, top 5, top 3 lines right now. We also got driver props. And Steve, I will come back and we're going to check and see if we got any props on JRM to win. I don't know if we'll see them, but we're going to check that out. All right, so your favorite, Kyle Busch at plus 350. I said I'd be watching for him. Caden Honeycutt next at 450, followed by Hocevar at 600, Riggs at 650. And like I said, the books more match up with how I see it than the pricing does. They've got Bell listed behind Hocevar and Riggs. I would agree with that. They have Bell ahead of Chastain. I would agree with that. Chandler Smith, Ty Majeski, Giovanni Ruggiero behind Chastain and Bell. I agree with all that. Brandon Jones to win plus 2,500. That's a fun little bet, folks. I wouldn't put much on it, but you could bet a couple bucks on the 2,500 to win, 25 to 1 to win. And I don't mind the top 5 either at plus 275. Otherwise, I do think Kyle Busch is an interesting bet at 350. It's not terrible odds. You can get away with that. I don't want to get too fandomish with Hocevar and Riggs, but I feel like both these guys should run well. This is a type of track that should fit both of them very well. Your top 5 on those guys, minus 140 for Hocevar, minus 150 to 15 for Riggs. I might go ahead and hit the 115 for Riggs. That it's close enough to even money for a top 5 from him that I'm in. I'm interested. He didn't have the finish the last couple races, but if you watched the TV you mentioned, he had the speed to be a contender to win. That's all I'm after. Just so you guys understand how I operate, our bets may not hit. Like, I was cussing myself out about the Kyle Busch bet that I didn't push it harder on Sunday as the race was going on. The reason for that, I felt like early in the week he'd have the speed and be in that range. So when I see him have the speed and I didn't push it, that upsets me. When I pushed, say, Hocevar the other week and he didn't have the speed, that upsets me. I was off on the speed. We can't control the flat tires, the cut tires, the bad pit stops, the stupid cautions at bad times. But if we don't point you to the fast cars and drivers, we're failing you. And so that's really more where I'm at. Brandon Jones is probably my favorite bet right now. Top 5 and to win at 25 to 1. And top 5 is, what did I say, 275? Yeah, plus 275. I'd hit that now. Don't be putting the life savings on. I'm not saying we're putting 5-unit bets on these things. But I love putting a half a unit or a unit on a 25 to 1 bet. That's a massive payday. I mean, that pays for bets for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks type of thing, right? There's no reason he should be that far down. And they priced him this way the last time he at Kansas, I think it was, where I said he's off. They've done him wrong. It's the exact same spots where they had him. I'm almost positive he was an $8,500 price, 82 maybe. It is all. So I'm going back to the well on that one. The speed was there. And that's what matters to me is I chase speed. I want the speed. The speed's there. So if you want a truck bet, give me Brandon Jones to win at 25 to 1. Give me him at top 5 at 275 plus 275, 2.75 to 1. If you want some other winner bets, I am intrigued by Kyle Busch at 3 plus 350. I am intrigued at Honeycutt at plus 450. I don't really love their top 5 odds at minus 175, minus 230. That's a little too juicy. Carson Hocevar, though, for a top 5 minus 140, that's intriguing. I may want to wait on that. I don't know that it would change too much after qualifying, even if he qualifies on the pole. Could, though. Him to win is plus 600. I don't mind it, but I would have him slightly behind Kyle. Lane Riggs at plus 650 to win and minus 115. I do like the minus 115 for a top 5. I think, like I said, this just feels like a track for Riggs. And honestly, Christopher Bell for a top 5 at even money and to win at 750. Don't mind the Christopher Bell top 5 either at even money because he did come on at the end of that race. So my favorite bets, you could go after the winners. I'm not willing to put my neck on the line on one winner. I will say bet 25 to 1 on Brandon Jones to win because the odds are silly. I like him for a top 5 at plus 275. I like Bell at a top 5 at plus 100. And I like Lane Riggs at a top 5 at minus 115. That's where I'll put you with the truck bets. Values for DFS, look at Queen, look at Brandon Jones. I will say this. If you use Brandon Jones in DFS, maybe scale back the betting. If you're going to go ahead and bet Brandon Jones, maybe we don't use him in DFS. I really hate being all in on both. It can pay off. Maybe it's just me being superstitious, but it feels like when I'm all in is when we get beat. Woo! Look at this. There you go. That means he's probably closer to plus 300 for a top 5 also. Maybe I'm out to lunch, folks. Feel free to call me out next week, and I'll eat crow gladly, but these lines are off on Brandon Jones is where my stance is. Let's move on to the O'Reilly race, which I got to tell y'all, that has been some of the best racing we have seen. Like, look, I have a buddy that tells me, I'll watch anything race. If you had wheelchair races, I'm tuning in. Like, I'm not above it. Horses, dogs, cars, ticks. There's a bar in town that does tick races. I will watch anything that's a race. I really will. The O'Reilly series has been some awesome, awesome racing. So if you haven't checked it out, recorded on Saturday, fast forward through it's on the CW. So you may not be able to, if you've got cable or satellite, you could. Check it out. If you haven't yet, they have been some of the best races. It's become very, very clear to me this NASCAR, next Gen 7, whatever you want to call it, car, might be a bigger problem than I've griped about. And you all have seen me gripe a lot about it. All right, let's talk some O'Reilly bets. We'll get into DFS here shortly. Well, no shocker, Justin Allgaier is the favorite at 3-1. It's a little juicy for me. Brent Cruz, 5-1. Like I said, I don't want to get caught sleeping on Brent Cruz. That young man will be in Denny Hamlin's car in 2 years. Hamlin's going to be out at the end of 27, and that's going to be Brent Cruz's car. Mark it down. Write it down. Book me on it. People are debating me it'll be the number 11 or not. Whatever. That's weird. So, Steve, you're saying they've got Jones for the truck race, but not the O'Reilly stuff? Interesting. That is really interesting to me. Huh. Don't know why that would be either. That's odd. That's really odd now that I think about it. All right. Brandon Jones. See, this is what I find interesting. Brandon Jones is the third favorite for the O'Reilly series at plus 650 with Joe Gibbs Racing. All right. Here's why I'm really confused by this. JRM, I would say, is better than JGR in the O'Reilly series. They're close. JGR is very good, but I think JRM has the better equipment. In the truck series, Tricon, I would argue, has slightly better equipment than Spire. Not by a lot. Spire can win, yes, but Tricon, I believe, has the best equipment in the truck garage. They are more or less the defunct Toyota factory team. Not really. That used to be Kyle Busch Motorsports. Neither here nor there. They're one of the best, if not the best, in the truck series. Okay, they're definitely a tier above Nice. I would put front row kind of with Spire, but slightly behind Tricon. Okay, Brandon Jones is going to drive a Tricon truck. So why the books have him so low for the truck series makes no sense to me, because me personally, when these drivers go from Cup to O'Reilly to truck, I like them more. They're learning and practicing and driving at a higher speed, more difficult cars, more seat time, longer races. Like, there's all sorts of things that point to these guys stepping down should do just as good or better. So why Brandon Jones is the third favorite for the O'Reilly series and way down the list in the truck series makes zero sense. None. This is where I'm saying I understand we may not win, but the odds are off, and I want to cash in on the potential odds because we shouldn't be getting 25-1 on Brandon Jones to win. That's just nuts. It's 650 plus 650 to win on Saturday. Sheldon Creed's plus 700. Jesse Love at plus 900. That's more where I want to play. He ran way better at Watkins Glen than I thought. Jesse Love at plus 900. In fact, the top 10 at plus 110, that's a good, or top 5, that's a good bet. Jesse Love, top 5 plus 110. I'm digging that. Corey Day, I'd rather be a top 10, but we're not going to get that on trucks. Corey Day's plus 140, but I got to tell you, give me Roger Caruth for a top 5 at plus 550. That's my bet. It's a little aggressive. He is plus 5,000 to win. I don't know that I'd feel real confident about that. Like Brandon Jones at plus 2,500 versus Caruth at plus 5,000. Way more confident in Brandon Jones. I see that playing out way before I see Roger winning this event, but it's plausible. That's why I said the top 5 at plus 550. I won't be shocked if we just miss it. He gets like 7th or 8th, but at 5.5 to 1, I'm really enticed by that bet. That's a good one. Parker Retzlaff at plus 450 for a top 5. That's interesting. He's been doing far better with that Viking car than I ever thought he would. Both of these are aggressive. I mean, these are long shot bets, 5 and 4 to 1. They're pretty long. Sam Mayer at plus 180 is interesting. William Sawalwich at 2 to 1 is interesting. I really like, Corey Day at plus 140. I want to be there. But he's consistently top 10. He's been so top 5. But the guys I like overall, Allgaier, Chastain's going to be interesting because he will be in decent equipment. Let me double check the equipment he is in before I mislead you all. Oh, he's in JRM equipment. Yeah. Ross Chastain needs to be they got his odds off. Holy crap. Ross Chastain 8 to 1 and plus 120 for a top 5. Give me the plus 120 for the top 5. I like the win at 8 to 1 as well. That is off. I would have Ross Chastain ahead of Sheldon Creed and Brandon Jones, personally. That's where I would put it. So give me Ross Chastain 8 to 1 plus 120 for a top 5. I do like Jesse Love for a top 5 at 110. I'm not in love with it, but that's interesting to me. And then, like I said, the odds on Raja and Retzloff are interesting. I prefer the equipment. Again, Raja's in JRM. He's in the 88 JRM car. That car has consistently been fast. So if you want to put like a 0.2 units on the win at 50 to 1, I'm good with it. If you want to put a solid unit bet on the top 5, I'm good with it. Just don't be mad at me if we just miss. Like I could feel like that one could be a heartbreaker for us. But that's where I'd be focusing, folks. JGR and JRM cars, and that's going to give you Allgaier, Cruz, Brandon Jones, Ross Chastain. I'm not as in on Guapo, Day, and Raja. William Sawalwich in the JGR car. He's 18 to 1 to win, plus 200 for a top 5. I kind of like that top 5 also. William Sawalwich is looking better and better. He's finally getting priced in odds appropriate now. So that's where I would focus. If you want to pin me down, give me Raja top 5 at 550. Give me Ross Chastain top 5 plus 120. And give me a little something on that Raja bet just for fun. If you want a real bet, like if I'm really betting someone to win, tell you what, Brent Cruz at 5 to 1. I feel like I haven't been giving him enough love, and I feel like it's coming. So keep that one in mind. From a DFS standpoint here, let's see. DFS. This race will be at 4 o'clock on Saturday. Let's find some values. All right. Justin Allgaier's 12,000, no shock. The odds and salary match. Brent Cruz, 11,000, same thing. Ross Chastain, this is where I would have him. He's third on salaries at 10.5. He's ahead of Guapo at 10,000. Who's ahead of Brandon Jones at 9,800. Then we got Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love, Taylor Gray, Corey Day, Sammy Smith, St. Mare, William Sawalwich, Raja Kruth at 7,900. 7,900 is a decent price on Raja Kruth. Austin Hill at 7,700 is a value. That feels a little insulting. So Jeff Burton's going to be back in the Jordan Anderson car. Brendan Pruitt, 6,400. Keep that name in mind for DFS. He's been pretty solid for us in DFS. He's actually averaged 31.8 points this year. 6,400. He's been hit or miss. It's boom or bust, don't get me wrong. But at 6,400, he's worth keeping in mind. LeVar Scott's been okay at 5,700. Myatt Snyder at 5,200. Not in love with it, but I kind of dig it, if that makes sense. 5,200 is going to be tough to get cheaper than that because the bottom line is you're going to want to find a way to get Allgaier, Cruz, Chastain, some version of at least 2 of those guys, in my opinion, in your lineup. Guapo's fine, but I'd probably rather save a little bit, go to Jones or go to Jesse Love. Sheldon Creed's going to be interesting. He's averaging 39.5 points, so he is quietly one of the better point scorers for us, and his pricing's 9,500. So in my mind, if I could get like a Sheldon Creed and a Cruz and Chastain or an Allgaier and Chastain, I'd love to do that. But in order to do that, you're going to have to get pretty cheap. And like I said, Pool's interesting at 6,400? Yeah, 6,400. May not be cheap enough. Myatt Snyder at 5,200. We're going to need a little bit of luck, but that's a good price. Ryan Ellis, maybe. Josh Bilicki, maybe. McLaughlin, maybe. Kyle Sieg, depending where he qualifies, 6,200 is not terrible. LeVar Scott at 5,700 is probably where I'm going to be dancing on the kind of punt options. Like I said, Balicki's in play as well. So those are those kind of DFS numbers. Now let's talk a little bit of Cup. Cup race will be Sunday at 1. Oh, yeah. A driver who's already qualified for the final segment but is unable to race due to a damaged car will have a finishing position scored no lower than 26th. So let's say Denny Hamlin crashes in segment 2. The lowest he's going to score is 26th. So it appears to me they are expecting you to have this lineup set, which means odds are probably going to be the same way before segment 1 of the All-Star event. We aren't going to know where these guys are qualifying. I guess we will, because they'll be doing qualifying ahead of time. So we'll know where they qualify, but we won't even know the whole field. Granted, it's only a couple extra drivers. Hamlin leads the way at 11,000. Kyle Larson's next at 10.5, followed by Blaney at 10.2. I don't disagree with those. Bell at 9,700 feels like a value. He's a little cheaper than Chase Elliott at 10 grand. I expect Tyler Reddick to run very well here. He is priced at 9,500. Someone to keep an eye on from a DFS standpoint for sure. Briscoe's 8,700. I have no idea why. Oh, so they're putting a Q next to guys that may not make it in. All right. Here's something interesting. Alex Bowman has finished top 10 in 7 of the last 8 Dover races. It's also the last place I believe he got his win. That 48 car with Jimmy Johnson dominated this joint. They know what it takes. I know Bowman is nerve-wracking. I don't know that I want to use him for DFS. All right, at 8,300, the price is fair. But we don't even know if he makes the series or makes the event. That said, I'd love to watch him make some bets because I think people are going to be sleeping on Bowman a little bit. I don't think money's going to be coming in on him because he hasn't run well this year. This is a get-right track for him. If we're going to see an improvement, it's going to happen this weekend. That's my belief anyway. Bowman's actually priced up over Joey Logano. Logano's been struggling, and it's showing up in his salary. Followed by Buescher. Hocevar is only 7,700. That's a decent value. Chastain at 7,600. He's running all 3 series. I know Trackhouse has struggled, but 7,600, we don't need him to set the world on fire. I really am curious to see how Kyle Busch runs. I expected, as you heard me on the show last week, I expected the road racing to be decent. I don't know what we're going to see. He's 7,300. It's worth watching, but I don't know where I'm going to be on that yet. SVG is going to be in the event at 6,500. He's an interesting play. He is your cheapest driver available. No, I'm sorry. Second cheapest driver available that's in the event. The next cheapest is, or the cheapest overall is Austin Dillon at 6,300. And interestingly enough, he's averaging 29 points a race. Nobody's using Dillon, and it seems to me he's scoring a little bit. So keep that in mind. Austin Cindric's also one of the next cheapest. He's 6,700, 25 points. So something to keep in mind. Those 3 drivers I'm okay using. I really am. But here again, everybody is. It's going to be tough to differentiate and get contrarian. Let's take a look at some of the bets. Sorry, I'm trying to make some notes here. Just trying to make some notes here. All right, Cup Series. These are our options on the Cup Series. You know what? Hold on. I want to go back to the O'Reilly Series because, all right. Just so you know, Steve, we do not have manufacturer or team bets yet for O'Reilly. So if they pop up, we'll have to take a look. But as of right now, we can't bet on JRM to win, but I like that bet, Steve. So all we have is winner bets top 3. I'm not going to chase the top 3 bets. I'm just not. I don't think there's enough variance there from a win to make it worthwhile. I mean, Denny Hamlin to win is plus 370 or a top 5 at plus 120. I don't know that I love the 120. I do think Blaney is going to be someone to watch. He's at plus 850 for a win. Alex Bowman for a win's plus 1,100. That's a little, the odds aren't terrible, but I guess I was wrong. There's going to be more money on it. I'd rather chase Ty Gibbs at plus 1,200. I really would. Tyler Reddick at plus 1,300. Give me that over Bowman. In fact, you want me to bet on winners? Give me Ty Gibbs and give me Tyler Reddick, plus 1,200 and plus 1,300. That's where I want to live, guys. Chase Briscoe at 1,600 is not bad. Yeah. Look, I don't disagree with Hamlin. I want to be in on Larson. I do want to be in on Larson. At plus 550, it's worthwhile. Larson will and do well at this track. I just don't know. Hendricks seems to be slightly off on speed. Not as bad on the 5 and the 9, but they still seem to be off a little bit. I really think 23-11 and Gibbs is where it's at for the Cup race this weekend. So give me Reddick and give me Gibbs is kind of where I'm sitting. That's really all I've got for this weekend's event. I can't believe an hour went by so fast already. If you all have any questions, I'll give you a couple of minutes here to hit up any questions, any last thoughts. If you want to throw out a bet you like or a lineup you want to look at, hit me. Hit me with it. Let me know what you got, and we'll see where we're at. And I apologize if this is a little haphazard from when Sean – I know it's a little haphazard from when Sean's here. I'm not Sean. Sean is phenomenal. So you're stuck with a talking face and no cool pop-ups and no cool – I couldn't find them. I couldn't get them to work. I am clearly a struggle. I'm on the struggle bus with technology. You can mock me. If you want to mock me in the comments on that, feel free. Other than that, that's really all I've got. I'll give you a little synopsis. Brandon Jones, one of my favorite bets. Brandon Jones Truck Series, top 5, plus 275. I like a little sprinkle of magic dust for a win at plus 2,500. In the O'Reilly Series, I really like Jesse Love for a top 5, minus 120, I believe. Let me pull that back up. I like Roger Cruz as a top 5. He's plus 550. I'm sorry, Jesse Love is plus 110. So I love Jesse Love at plus 110 for a top 5. Oh, Ross Chastain and O'Reilly. Top 5. Plus 120. And a little bit of love to Roger Cruz at plus 550 for a top 5. And the only thing I'm really pushing out there on the Cup side, Reddick and Ty Gibbs to win, plus 1,200, plus 1,300. I'll have a write-up for you on the overview. Probably be a repeat of some of the bets. Lines may change. I may have a couple of other ones. Other than that, hey, thank you for joining us. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you for being a member at fantasyguru.com. If you're not a member and seeing this on YouTube, please, excuse me, please check us out. If you see something, you want to give us a try, reach out to support@fantasyguru.com. Tell them what you're looking for. Tell them kind of your price points you're in, what sports you're into, if you can bet, if you can DFS, what you want season long, etc. We do our best to take care of you. And I stand by everybody on staff at FG. They do a phenomenal job. So with that, I will let you all go. And I guess we'll see you next time. You can find me in Discord. Feel free to tag me. Until next time, peace.